I violated my normal policies and went against my better instincts and watched the Buckaroos for the most part to see if the Japanese Cody could impress me. And can I just talk about what I saw real briefly?
The Bucks and Okada?
Well, actually, that's you son of a bitch.
What, you were going to say that?
I was going to say that. I was going to say, I think from now on, he just needs to be, instead of Japanese Cody, he needs to be Okada. Because I don't understand what they're going for, because they contradict themselves, even if you like them and want to support them in some type of way, they contradict their own shit. First, you got the Buckaroos, Maddie and Nikki, and Okada at the Gorilla backstage at the, of course, now we've seen the Gorilla position, now what it looks like in a goddamn, the modern day in the WWE. It's bigger than my first apartment, and it's fucking decorated and lit. I mean, they have a woman come in and clean. It's amazing. And here, this is a goddamn tent like the old days that AEW has, with draped in black everywhere, with Tony Khan sitting there with a headset on, draped in black. The only white you can see is around his nostrils. And a fucking empty table with a monitor on it, and there's the Buckaroos and Okada standing there. Because you start seeing a video package on the FTR and Bucks and their rivalry or whatever, and then you hear their whiny voices saying, cut it off. That's crummy. And they do their fake heel bit, but they're doing it while Tony is sitting there nodding up and down and taking instructions from them and not disagreeing with them in any way. And if he's making a face that is somehow supposed to indicate that he thinks there's something out of the way that these EVPs are behaving, you can't tell. So this not only fell flat because it's their fake heel way of speaking, but also because we don't understand. If Tony's sitting there and he's supposed to be the Raven babyface to boss this whole thing, and he's just fine with whatever it is you people are trying to do to supposedly get heat. Well, do you understand what I'm saying, Brian? What the fuck why is there any conflict here then?
It doesn't make much sense. Why does Tony Khan want heel EVPs?
Yes, why does he allow them to do these things? Why is he hamstrung? His hands are tied. He has no choice. They've got his fucking trust fund kidnapped in a cellar somewhere, being held for ransom. So the match is Maddie and Nikki and Okada against Danny Garcia, Penthouse, and Pac. And out of what a fucking random babyface team, right? For these people but out of the bunch, Garcia's working harder. I'll tell you that. He's working harder. He's still got
I'm just going to say, he is working harder, and it's impressed me. I noticed it, and then they beat him, and he's the guy who got killed.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's working harder. He's still got a mope face, but I think he's worked on his body, and his work we never said his work sucked. He does questionable things, but athletically, he can do moves. But again, by now they've beat him, and then we've mostly forgotten about him, and they bring him back and lay him out again. He's a guy that would need to go somewhere for a while longer before he's ready for national television from a look. But the point is, out of all of these motherfuckers, Pac, it looks great. He can do great shit, but he has lousy matches because he uses all that athletic ability to do indie bullshit. He can't put a logical match together. We've seen that many times. And a Penthouse, you get what you get. And so I'm thinking, is there any way that Okada is going to be able to impress me in the middle of this environment?
Okada, for the record, for anyone who's listening who doesn't exactly understand what you're referencing, we should probably say his real name too.
Well, I thought it was Okada. You just named him. As far as I'm concerned, it's easier to say than Japanese Cody. Because that's what they did. They traded down to a guy that looks confusingly similar to, that has blonde hair and wears a suit, but just ain't got any pizzazz to him. And then during this match, it's every indie 6-man tag team match that's ever been held, right? But at one point, I'll move on to the finish and we'll be done with this. But it was indicative of how the Buckaroos don't understand what even they're trying to do. At one point, Maddie gets the PA mic, the public address system for the kids, and he does his own commentary on the match. Not unlike Jerry Lawler used to do as a heel in the WWF back in the early 90s, except unlike it in that Lawler, his shits are more entertaining than Maddie is. But finally, he gets in the ring and he gets on Garcia. And he's taunting him, and he's pie-facing him, and he's trash-talking him. And he's almost like he's being a real heel, right? And Garcia's got this great look on his face. And he set it up where if Garcia had snatched a waistlock and picked him up and belly to backed him, it would have got a huge pop for Daniel Garcia. And a huge pop for the fucking move. And a huge pop for the change in momentum. And the heel would have gotten a little comeuppance there. But instead, the spot that obviously Maddie called, because I don't think Garcia is telling Maddie what to do, Garcia snatches the waistlock on him and picks him up for a belly to back, but he's got to hold him at the top so Matt, who has the microphone in his hand, can get his funny line in and go, "Oh, we're good, put me down." And as the people chuckled in the building, and then he gives him the suplex, and it stepped all over Garcia's pop. It changed the focus of attention from Garcia giving this little prick what he deserved to, oh, we forgot this is all fun and games, and we're not supposed to take it seriously, and got us back to goddamn reality, which was this was children playing fucking wrestler. And that's how smart they aren't. Did you even see that spot?
I did see that spot. I watched this match because I'm intrigued now by the lack of heat for anything with the Bucks. You know, they tied themselves in the past to Omega, who had a fan base. Cody kind of tied himself to them, but then things got reversed. By that time, though, they were not really working with Cody on air, if you noticed. But they tied themselves to people. Now they're tied to Okada, who's not over here, beyond the New Japan fan. And nothing they've done has gotten them heat. Their promos, airing the Punk thing in character, the behind-the-scenes stuff, less fans, no heat. It's intriguing to watch now, the Bucks, because they were trying, if you watch their picture-in-picture, they were doing everything they could to get the crowd to make any noise at all.
Well, I don't even know, come to think of it, would that have been something they would have called for Matt to go and get the microphone during the commercial break? Or was it just something they were trying to do to get people up off their ass? But anyway, speaking of O'Cody, so here's what he did to impress me. Nada. Some shit that anybody else could do and probably do better. I don't think he's worth a round-trip ticket from Japan if they put him in baggage. And then he tombstone Garcia, and then tombstone Penthouse. Penthouse's head was a foot off the fucking mat when he hit him with that one. And then Maddie and Nikki double super kicked Garcia, and Okada hit him with that short arm clothesline. 1, 2, 3. And then they brought a ladder in and folded Garcia up in it and beat him up in that until Pac came back and ran him off with a hammer.
That's what I was talking about. It wasn't just Daniel Garcia taking the pin. They destroyed him after the match.
They beat him up, beat him, and then fucking left him laying. After... But
how many weeks in a row have we seen just random 6-man teams on this show? Like last week, wasn't it Shibata and Jericho and Hook? And we were like, what are they doing together? And then a week before it was someone else.
Well, they have to, because nobody wants to see that, but then it doesn't get people ready to get beat by the Buckaroos and O'Cody, because they got to be together, or I guess maybe the Buckaroos could be in Okoda's corner.
They're about to have this pay-per-view match. They've now made it a ladder match with FTR. Does anyone care about the feud? Does anyone really care about the match? Does the backstory and their attempts to justify showing the Punk footage and how it backfired on them, does it justify any of it? Does any of this feel like it's clicking at all?
They're showing the Punk footage took attention away from this match and diminished it rather than heating it up.
And one last question, and this may be an overarching one we ask time and time again. Are the Young Bucks the most overpaid tag team? Well, forget about tag team. Overpaid act in wrestling history. If you look at the actual results versus what they have or what they're getting. Serious conversation there.
I would say you would have to make, I mean, we don't know. We do know that probably the most overpaid talent in the history of wrestling is either currently now or at one point has been a member of Tony Khan's roster. At this point, I think we can safely say that. But you could make and as a package, it might be a runaway if you look at it with the Buckaroos in the top spot.
Jericho may get jealous though and keep doing what he's doing.
Well, that's why I'm thinking with Jericho might come out on top as a single overpaid personality, but if you take the other two dimwits as a package, that could override that. And Jericho, to be fair, he meant something the first year till everybody had seen the state of him.
Did this match make you want to see FTR versus the Bucks in a ladder match at the pay-per-view, or even Okada versus Pac at the pay-per-view?
No, I don't want to see Okada against Pac anymore, and I forgot about fucking FTR and the Buckaroos at the pay-per-view after this was over with. So I don't think that I did, or they did, or it did, or whatever the grammatical correctness would be to answer your question. But that's just me.